This man invited this lady to his house for sexual activity through her older brother. Suddenly his phone rings, and he quickly grabs it, leaving the lady halfway through their romantic moment. The lady, upset by the sudden loss of attention, tries to draw him back by urging him to ignore the call, but he pushes her away from his body instead. The lady is shocked by the man's actions, while he quickly tells her he needs to talk in private and then leaves the room. The lady is disappointed by the turn of events, especially since this is their first time together. The man walks into his living room, sits on the couch and sets his phone aside to enjoy a glass of whiskey. He deliberately left the room to have some alone time in the living room and to avoid getting intimate with the lady. This is the kind of man who uses a woman for more than just sex, driven entirely by his own selfish motives. He lounges in the living room with hesitation, fully aware that the lady is waiting, but with no desire to go back and fulfill her expectations. The lady stays on the bed, carefully adjusting herself to appear more beautiful and appealing for when the man returns. She suddenly realizes the man has been gone too long and starts to wonder what could be keeping him so busy that he's forgotten about her. She's a sex worker who partners with her brother to secure customers, dividing the earnings between them. Her brother connected her to him, having checked his profile and noticed his luxurious lifestyle, categorizing him as a potential high-paying customer. She gradually grows impatient waiting for the man, knowing she needs him to perform so she can earn her payment. She decides to take matters into her own hands by entering the living room to confront the man and reclaim his attention. The man is fast asleep on the couch, a state he deliberately slipped into to carefully ignore the lady. She enters the living room and is startled to find the man fast asleep on the couch. She storms over to him and shakes him roughly to wake him up, demanding he fulfill his duty, the very reason she came to see him. The man awakens momentarily, but soon drifts back to sleep, attempting to brush off the lady, who then tries to pull him up from the couch. She immediately expresses her frustration with the man's behavior and reminds him that she needs him to perform so she can get paid. When the body refuses what the mind invited, the deck usually goes unsettled. The lady suddenly finds reason within herself to believe that the man's lack of interest is a deliberate plan to avoid paying her. The man calmly assures her that her payment is guaranteed, then slowly reclines on the couch to resume his sleep. She tries to wake him, but he snaps and orders her not to touch him. She firmly tells him that her acceptance to let him sleep should have no decrease in her payment. The lady is more focused on receiving her payment and is unconcerned about whether she actually did the work to earn it. She storms back into the room, leaving the man to sleep on the couch, just as he wanted. The following morning, the man remains deeply asleep on the couch, and the lady enters, shocked to see he's still fast asleep. She taps his shoulder with frustration and quickly tells him she's leaving. The man digs into his pocket, takes out some money, and passes it to her. She's shocked that the man paid her as promised, despite the service never being delivered. When a promise is kept, it often makes the person promised to see the promise keeper in a new, more favorable way. She slips the money into her handbag, gives a casual thanks, and walks out of the house. A man who spends money on a woman without intending to sleep with her is focused on a pursuit beyond mere sexual gratification.
VJ Rex Fashions presents The Power of Style, tailored to define greatness, built for leaders, dreamers, and men of purpose. Style like a Senator, dress like royalty, only at VJ Rex Fashions.
The lady's brother is pleased to see her return in the morning from the man's house. She quickly launches into complaints about her disappointment with the client. A client who pays without receiving the service isn't a valuable customer, as he's unlikely to return for something he never got. She informs her brother that throughout her stay at the man's house, they never shared any intimacy, even though she had explicitly asked for it. Her brother is shocked and quickly asks if she was paid for her time there, revealing his main concern. When a brother stands behind his sister's sex work, he has surrendered his soul for profit. She reaches into her bag, hands the money to him, and his mood instantly brightens. His phone abruptly rings, and he's shocked to see that the caller is the same man his sister was complaining about. He picks up the call and quickly lavishes the man with compliments, his joy stemming from the hefty payment made to his sister despite the service not being delivered. The caller informs him of his desire to book his sister again that night, and he promptly gives his approval. His sister quietly shows her unwillingness to accept the job, but he disregards her and carries on with the call, promising the man she'd be available for the session. He ends the call with the man and tells his sister she's booked for another appointment at the man's house, even though she's clearly uncomfortable with it. He orders her to get some rest and get ready for her next visit to the man's house. When a man is ruled by money, he loses the power to value anything else. That same day, the lady arrives at the man's house, her expression clearly showing she's unhappy to see him. The man hugs her and tries to lift her mood, but she stays distant, still weighed down by her past experiences with him. The man gently pulls her onto his lap and whispers sweet words into her ear, trying to melt her resistance and win her over. She voices her disappointment over being neglected during her previous visit, and the man promises her a more attentive and satisfying experience this time. He tickles her playfully before lifting her gently and carrying her into the bedroom with a romantic touch. He gently lays her down on the bed and slowly moves closer, both of them settling into the mood for intimacy. He abruptly pauses, pulls his phone from his pocket, and sits down on the bed to answer it, shattering the moment once more. The lady quickly grows angry and attempts to draw his focus back, but he brusquely shoves her aside and leaves the room. She is stunned that the same man who promised her his attention just moments ago has once again repeated their previous disappointing encounter. When your body is for sale, you can't expect to be treated with value or respect, because that's not the nature of your business. The man walks into the sitting room, laughing to himself about the drama he just caused with the lady. He deliberately faked the call to cut their romantic moment short and avoid being intimate with her. He pours a gin drink for himself, trying to induce sleep so he won't be awake when the lady comes to check on him. This man has a carefully crafted plan behind inviting the lady, yet he pretends to be clueless about his intentions. He slowly lies down on the couch and drifts off to sleep, once again ignoring the lady in the room. A few minutes later, the lady walks into the sitting room and finds the man asleep on the couch once again. She stands nearby, staring at him in silence, with little left to say. She already knows this is a repeat of her last visit. She slowly takes a seat on the nearby couch, puzzled as to why the man keeps inviting her over with no intention of intimacy. Most women feel a sense of inferiority when rejected by men, especially after openly expressing their interest. The next morning, the lady wakes the man from his sleep to demand her payment. He wakes up and without hesitation reaches into his pocket, then hands the money to her. She accepts the money without expressing gratitude, quickly verifies the amount despite the service not being provided, and then leaves the house. When money rules your life, you become a servant to its demands. The lady arrives at the house, and her brother quickly approaches her to ask how the encounter went. She takes the money from her bag, hands it over to him, and walks out wearing a look of disappointment. Her brother immediately realizes her mood is due to the lack of intimacy with the man, but remains unconcerned as long as the payment was received. A man driven by money will sell his soul and call it business. 3 days later, while resting on her bed, the lady receives a phone call from an unfamiliar number. She wonders who might be calling, then answers the phone only to be surprised by the voice of the man who had previously neglected her. The man reached out to her personally to arrange a meeting, bypassing the usual step of contacting her through her brother. She promptly declines his invitation, explaining that she's not willing to go through the same disappointing experience again. The man apologizes and assures her that her next visit will be different, urging her to keep it a secret from her brother. After persistent persuasion from the man, the lady reluctantly agrees to give him one last chance and promises not to inform her brother before leaving the house. The lady arrives at the man's house feeling hesitant and wearing a look of regret. She stands at the door, uncertain if she made the right choice, hoping this visit will be different, then slowly walks over to sit beside the man. He begins to lavish undeserved compliments on her, hoping to brighten her mood as she sits beside him. He attempts to charm her with sweet talk to lift her spirits, but she deliberately ignores him, keeping her disappointed expression. He grabs the whiskey glasses from the table and offers her one, but she promptly declines. He tries to convince her to drink, saying it will help spark the mood she's been waiting for. After persistent urging from the man, she reluctantly takes the drink from him. Accepting an open glass of drink is a risk wrapped in a simple gesture. The lady takes a sip from the glass offered to her, unaware that it's been laced with a sleeping agent meant to incapacitate her. To the lady and her brother, this man is a wealthy client they connected with online, intending to provide their services in exchange for payment. Unbeknownst to them, this man is an organ trafficker who targets online girls, exploiting them to harvest and sell their organs for profit. He deliberately neglected the lady on her previous two visits to win her trust, while quietly compensating her brother, who remains unaware that he has sold his sister to him. He deliberately reached out to the lady himself, using the trust he earned to persuade her not to inform her brother about the visit. He sits back and watches the lady drain her glass of wine, his heart swelling with satisfaction as he has her exactly where he wants her. When your body becomes a business, expect the risks that come with the market. She gives him the empty glass to place on the table, then immediately starts to complain about feeling strangely weak and drowsy. He gently urges her to lean on him and rest for a moment if she's feeling too lightheaded. He leans back into the couch and the lady, visibly weakened by the drink, slowly slumps against him. She suddenly finds herself battling to stay conscious, yet powerless against the overwhelming pull of sleep. The man watches her with a wicked smile, then shifts his body, gently urging the lady to reposition herself and settle asleep on the couch. Unaware of the true cost, this lady has sold her future in exchange for quick cash through unlawful paths. She came hoping to sell a service, unaware the beer intended to take everything. The man gazes at her with a satisfied grin, mocking her for how easily she walked into his trap. He checks to ensure she's fully unconscious, then quietly picks up his phone to call his accomplice, instructing them to meet at a hidden location to collect the body. This is a lesson to everyone. Accepting an open drink is surrendering your safety to someone else's intentions. Easy money often comes with hidden and dangerous costs. Repeated disappointments and evasive behavior are warning signs. Trust should be earned and not given blindly. Your body is not a commodity to be traded. Keeping secrets about your safety can make you vulnerable. People online may hide their true intentions. Thank you for watching this video. Please share this video and comment where you watched this video from.